Hey, we have a really unique presentation for you today because guess what? Disney sent Amber and I down to Disney World and some of their properties unattended, unchaperoned, no leashes or handcuffs or anything like they normally have to do when I go down there, and let us just really experience things, as a person. And the only request Eva made of us was to be real about it and not break any copyright laws. I just want to kind of introduce ourselves real quick and some of our esteemed guests, and also kind of give you a little perspective on what we were doing. And then ideally, this is going to turn into a big old discussion. So as you guys have questions, go ahead and pop open your chat client there and toss those into the chat client for me. And then towards the middle of this, not the end, towards the middle, we'll start fielding some of these questions and comments and whatnot. So let me jump in with introductions. First of all, Eva Garfield, our business development management person from Disney, good friend of mine, long time with Miss Garfield. And boy, I tell you what, when her and I first met, we were on two different planets when it came to copyright, because I thought that Disney lost their mind about copyrights. And Eva, I've got to thank you for explaining things to me. I know it took a few months. I'm a little dense, but Eva's persistent, insightful. She knows Disney, and boy, I tell you, if you need your hand held, this is the lady that can help you out. Next, I've got Amber up. She is my right hand person. She's co-piloting a plane that's being piloted by a crazy person, so she has a very important job. And she's also a Disney file on steroids. It was my privilege to have been escorted down there by her because she knew each blade of grass by name. She knew everything, and so it was great to have me, who's been um, that dad with that painful expression about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That was my knowledge of Disney. Combine that with Amber's knowledge and love of the property, man, I couldn't have been in better waters to go do this little adventure. And then add to that that we had the benefit of what we call our Elite Eight. Right? Who are they? Those are our Disney heavy hitters. So please allow me to introduce them real quick by first name. We have Lana and Amber and Joanne. Melissa Matthews, thanks again for all the special info you gave us. Katie Carswell, Christy Durso, how you doing? I'm working on another project with her too right now. Allison, Kim Styles. Oh, Kim, I just miss hanging out on River Cruise with you. It was a good time. Anyway, these people gave us a little perspective when we walked in. So, what perspective did we have? What was the point of this? It was to go down there. I use the phrase tabula rasa, right? Blank slate, no biases, no predetermined opinions. We got the insights of the Elite Eight, but also didn't take it as gospel per se. It's no disrespect to the Elite Eight. We just wanted to go down there and take their guidance and discover it for ourselves. So we went down there with a completely open mind, can no intentions, no agenda, nothing. Well, we had an agenda as far as where to be and what to do, but nothing to go prove other than to find out what was. So having said that, I just want to kind of toss out my takeaway first, just because I'm already talking, and we'll kind of go from there. My big takeaway, and Elite Eight, thank you all for setting this up in my head, but it was expectations. That's what this was about. It's about managing expectations. I don't know if you noticed in the video, but we talked a lot about how we were still having the level of want met. It was just being met in a slightly different way. One of the best experiences I had down there, Amber was kind enough to point it out to me a few times, was the cavalcades as opposed to the parades. I'm standing there, I'm a 51-year-old man, and I'm jumping up and down because Mickey Mouse is looking me square in the eyes. Okay, because there wasn't 5 million of my closest friends right next to me. It was a little spaced out. So I think, was it you, Melissa? Somebody in the Elite Eight pointed out that if they're going down there because they have to get a hug from Princess whoever or Cinderella or whatever, that's the only reason they're going is for that hug. Don't send them. Now it's not the time for that. Now, if their intention is to interact with characters and to have that immersive experience that Disney's known for, yes, by all means, send them right now. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a few people, including Eva. I'd almost pay extra to go down there right now because of the way it was. So we went down with three C's in mind: care, courtesy, and comfort, right? And those were always being addressed in that very unique Disney sort of way. It was just normal to have a mask on. It was normal to be 6 feet apart. It wasn't a big deal. And I always draw the analogy like this, and Eva, I think I'm right when I say this. It's like a good Disney movie. They're cracking two jokes at the same time all the time. One for the kids, one for the adults, and then both of them for me at the same time. Okay, but they're always operating on two different levels. So they had that extreme level of safety and protection and caution and all that kind of stuff, but you didn't notice it was happening. Kind of like the kid in the movie who's not understanding the adult joke. Okay, so it was just done so um, casually that it was very comfortable. And I'll kind of wrap up with comfort. Two of my most comfortable experiences were those breathing areas y'all have set up. What were they called? Relaxation stations, where you could just go stand, take off your mask for a minute and chill. You got 10, 12, 15 feet. There was nobody in the area, right, Amber, when we were there? Nobody.
Nope.
So years ago, I used to smoke. It would have been where I was at. Of course, they don't allow smoking, but it was that same kind of spread out. Nobody wants to be around smokers anyway. So there's, 6 feet at least distance. And there was also this psychological disconnect. Amber, you had remarked, it's like the mask wasn't bugging you, but it sure was nice to not have it for just a minute, just to take it off and chill. And the other thing was that last night, what was the name of that restaurant with that meatloaf I about cried over?
Oh, prime time.
Oh, prime time. And that waitress we had, oh, she was a
It was
hoot.
funny.
She was just the most classic diner waitress you could ever imagine. And she came up and she's like, cracking jokes about, hey, you guys, aren't sick like those last people I had here, are you? Do you have a cold or anything? Because I sure have the sniffle. She was making fun of the obvious because we walked in cracking jokes and laughing, and she just echoed that vibe right off the bat. So I'm sure with the next customer, she might have been different, but I just felt like everybody was sensitive to vibes and people's, because it's hard to read somebody's face from that, but it just seemed like everybody was very
Mhm.
comfortable themselves and therefore made people comfortable around them.
Mhm.
So those were my big key takeaways was the setting of expectations, and that comfort thing. To me, that meatloaf, I'll talk about that till I'm 90. It was really good. So, Amber, what were some of your main takeaways while you're there? Like, if you had to name two, what were the big ones?
Oh, I definitely second the I would pay for that. I keep saying it, and so people have talked to me now several times. Are probably sick of hearing it. It reminds me of what slow season used to be. Disney has become a more and more popular destination, rightfully so. But I go way back, and I can remember going and walking through the streets empty, and I really enjoyed that. Um, it didn't feel like less, I think, was my big takeaway. There are things that aren't available, but they've added so many different elements to it that it didn't feel like I was missing out. And as somebody who loves taking, at almost 40, still loves taking pictures with characters, I didn't miss it because like you said, the interaction was elevated in a different way. We danced. Chad's not going to tell this part, but I am. But when we were at Hollywood Studios, they did the cavalcade, and it was the Disney Junior uh, cavalcade. So it was Doc McStuffins and Fancy Nancy and Vampirina. Chad, I don't think Chad watches Vampirina in his house, but we are Doc McStuffins Vampirina house. But he was dancing to the
My
music.
wife's nickname is Doc McStuffins. No, seriously, she's a duck whisperer. She rescues all the ducks in the neighborhood. So yeah, I
Funny.
know who she is.
So yeah, so it was, that part was really great. So it wasn't a setting expectations, yes, but it wasn't less. It was just a shift for me. There was still a really great experience to be had, and it's the first time I left Disney without feeling like I was gonna need another vacation to recover from everything I did. So I also
Oh,
really loved that. I think I told you when we stayed at the yacht club. uh, uh, Yacht and Beach Club, and when we were walking out, we saw those kids walking. It was like the perfect. It was should have been an advertising picture.
Really.
So, and you saw them running out, and the sun was shining, and the lighthouse there, and it was like it warmed my heart. I wanted to cry because it was just so exciting to see these kids just being kids. And
Just
that's the
being
part.
kids.
Yeah, that's the part about Disney I love the most. That everybody is a kid there, but it is a moment when you breathe and you live in this fantasy. And that's probably why I love it the most. So the fact that that moment was still there, even with everything going on, it's still magical. You don't have to worry. If you send clients there, if you go, it is still magical, even through all of this.
I got to double down on that magical thing. So I know magical is used occasionally in reference to Disney. But man, I mean, seriously, they built a world, an empire on magic, and they deliver that magic every time. I don't care if we're in the middle of a global pandemic, they deliver. And I'm going to draw a parallel between the experience I had at Disney World and one I had at a resort in Mexico a few weeks prior to that. Okay. So down in Mexico, family is extremely important. Okay. It's even more so than in our culture. And this particular vendor, their thing was this: hey, if you're sick, your cousin's sick, your abuela's sick, your grandma's sick, stay home and you'll get paid. We'll take care of you. And so everybody who was at work, you could see, was perfectly happy to be there, wanted to be there, that kind of thing. Other resort I visited while I was down there, not so much, because they had to be there and their grandma was sick and they had to be at work. So there was a difference there. I think that reflected how the vendor took care of their people. And I think that was reflected as well in Disney's crew members, cast members down there. I got the sense that they were being taken care of, that they were comfortable, they felt like they were in a good place, and that, God, I hate to draw an analogy with an animal, but a dog can tell if you're scared, right? That vibe people pick up on, and that was magical to me. That for a moment it was just assumed, yeah, mask, yeah, COVID, yeah, but here's Mickey. It just became a part of life. In fact, I just liked the normalcy of it as a foundation to the magic. I think that's what Disney did well. They established a baseline norm that allowed you to go have that magical experience you wanted to go have. So that to me was just mind-boggling, especially in America. Look, there's some countries where they'll work for $1 a day till they, bleeding from both hands. Americans have a different approach sometimes. Nobody that I bumped into had a bad attitude. I was blown away. In fact, remember when we went to the restaurant, the cantina thing there in Star Wars?
Oh yeah.
And the guy was so nice, and all he was doing. So you've got this app, right? And you pre-order, and you can tell it, "Have my food ready when I get there." It knows you're there, or I'll tell you when I'm there. And so this guy, his only job was to say hi and point to the left where you went and got your food. And he was so nice, and he stepped around from behind things. Oh, come right this way, and I'll show you this. And that those little touches made it right. It really did. So those are my key takeaways and Amber's key takeaways. I want to give a quick shout out to the Elite Eight, and then I want to talk to Eva for a sec. Elite Eight-ish type people. Did I miss anything? Anything we can add? Any thoughts?
I don't think so. I think you pretty much got everything. I think one thing that is worth pointing out is I've had several clients who have gone to both Universal and the other theme park, and they've done both, and across the board, what I've gotten back is Disney's service continues to excel. Disney continues to be a step above. They continue to just be one step ahead. They pregame everything and they think through every detail, and it has been it has been great. You still need to qualify, and when you're done qualifying, qualify some more. And
That's huge. So I say managing expectations, but how do you do that? By qualifying, right? By having a conversation. Matter of fact, the other project we're working on is all about that. And the more I get into this, the more I realize that the conversation, the questions, That's the only thing that really matters. After that, I think a travel agent can get everything done. And if you can't, you can call us, we'll figure it out. Right? You know, but it's understanding what the heck they want and need and what their expectations are. So I appreciate you pointing that out. It is about listening. It really is.
And Chad, this is Katie. Another thing we talked about a lot was, if you have a client who is impatient to wait for a bus or something like that, upselling them to a specific resort where they can walk or whatever, because you have to know what's going on down there to be able to make them comfortable and content.
Right. It seems like if you get them comfortable and content on a 9 out of 10 things, then that one probably won't bother them so much. You know what I mean? You get them dialed in. And you just mentioned about the transportation stuff. I'm one of those guys. If I have to wait more than 2 minutes for a ride, I just start walking. It's a peeve of mine. Okay, well, if I know I'm going to be doing some walking, I'll wear the right shoes. You know, we just set those expectations. And Katie, it's funny, you're talking about the transportation thing, the upsell. So my wife's phone number is 904-334-2454. Call her up and ask her if I'm the cheapest man in Florida or not. She will tell you I am. Why? Because when I go on vacation, I don't want to care. If my kids want a 3-foot tall Slurpee, go get a 3-foot tall Slurpee, man. Dad skipped lunch for a week. Go get your Slurpee. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying? It's like upselling is entirely appropriate here. Either you haven't been on my sales training, but I always tell people upsells are a natural observation that a client reacts to. You don't stuff an upsell down somebody's neck just because you're going to make money off of it. This is that situation where somebody like me needs to be told to pry open his dusty wallet. And if transportation's an issue, here are your options. Okay, that's really important because if you know me, you probably wouldn't ask me to upsell, buy this extra thing. But if you really know me, if you've qualified me right, you'd understand that transportation is something that makes me impatient and I'm willing to pay extra. So if you understand what they need, then you can deliver it. I think that's a hugely important point. As a matter of fact, I'll go a step further on upgrades. So as cheap as I am, I always pay for private transfer at a resort. Why? Because I don't want to be standing in line waiting for a bus. That's how bad it is. So I'll pay the extra to have the experience that I want. When you think about Disney World, even I don't know the percentages, but for a lot of people, this is a trip to Mecca in a way. This is a trip of a lifetime, especially out of the Midwest. So why not get them what they want? At least present it to them as options. So that's a great point. I appreciate it. And somebody made a point here, Chrissy, you did. Disney does not play with masks. It was so cool. This is so Disney. I loved it. Okay, so you're walking by and you see these electronic signs, right? And it's like, everybody enjoys a magical experience at Disney. And, hey, make sure your experience is magical by wearing your magical mask and da 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 da. And then about every 5th or 6th slide, there's this very austere black and white message that stays there for about 2.5 seconds that says, visitors not wearing a mask will be asked to leave. Black, white, bold, done. Gone. And then back to happy imagery and all that kind of, it addresses the people who pay attention. Me, I see the magical thing. I make sure my mask's on. I move on my way. Those people who aren't paying attention are going to see that sign and realize Disney isn't playing because it's in everybody's best interest. You know what I mean? It was just funny how it was, very cartoony, very nice, da, 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 da. And if you're not paying attention, I'm going to throw you out. So they're not playing. And that gave me a sense of comfort. It didn't offend me at all. It made me feel comfortable. And I think just about anybody who's not a jerk would feel the same way about that sign, because some people need to be told in no uncertain terms that this isn't a request. It's kind of like my kids. So anyway, that was great feedback. I appreciate it. And then, okay, so now we're getting on into some EVA stuff. So I'm going to come back to the requests online and stuff like that. Do we have any other general questions about what you want to do with clients, questions that you should be asking, insights, anything at all? Okay.
sorry, I have one more just comment. When you're qualifying your client, be sure to ask about special needs. It may be uncomfortable, but ask your clients if they have special needs, especially because there are not fast passes right now. Clients who have children with autism, clients who have children with cognitive disorders really need to be taking advantage of the Disney Disability Assistance Service. It's really, really handy. It's extremely useful. It's not a jump to the front of the line. They do wait, but they wait outside of the line. And it really does help eliminate a lot of issues. Just make sure you're asking your clients. It's a question I have on every intake form I have. Does your client have any cognitive, physical disabilities at all? So I just want to add that because Disney does a great job with those kinds of needs.
So real quick, I just checked with the boss, and he's approved me to make the following shameless plug. April 13th, we're going to start a series with Christy and Andy Ogg. You might know Joni Ogg. They've been around forever. They're awesome people. The three of us are going to start a series called The Spectrum of Special Needs. So we're going to be doing 3 to 4 specials on working with special needs clients and the importance of setting expectations and understanding client needs. So shameless plug, April 13th, 2 p.m. and then again on the 27th at 2 p.m. I take a look at it. We're doing it for a few reasons. One, it's cool. It's a cool thing to do. Two, and you never hear this word anymore nowadays, but I think it's kind of noble. And third, there's an opportunity to make everybody happy here. You know what I mean? The travel agent gets a really satisfying booking. The client gets a really satisfying experience. I can't think of a better thing to do. So April 13th, 2 p.m. Anyway, now on to Eva. We have a couple of technical questions here. So when you're working in the Disney portal and you encounter a variable definition error referencing an array that's misdefined on the C# side of the server process, what do you do with the RS-232 port?
That's why you have to get trained, yeah.
I'm messing with you. Hey, is there a way to make special requests on the travel agent booking site that's more likely to get through or most likely to get through? There's some tricks to that for special needs and so on.
Well, in the booking process, it's a small area for text chat, any special requests, but it's good to call Disney Reservation Center. Any requests are just that, they're on request. Obviously, we want to do our best to accommodate all guest requests, whether they're adjoining rooms. We don't want to separate families, but it's good to give our Disney Reservation Center a call if we're talking specifically Walt Disney World Resort. Go ahead and put those in. Our cast members will document those requests. I think this is so. First of all, Chad and Amber, Amber and Lona and Joe, Melissa, Katie, Christy, Allison, Kim. Thank you so much for all your contributions and all the great feedback that you've provided, both Chad and Amber, for this trip. And this was just that. It was to give unsolicited, unbiased feedback on visiting the Walt Disney World Resort and visiting where you're wearing many hats, running outside agents, but also as a parent, as a guest who's traveled all over the world. And it's so important to have that unbiased position when you come into the Walt Disney World Resort. I think that the theme here, what you were talking about, is expectations. And all of our colleagues here that have made comments on it, it is so true, because safety, the health and safety of guests, of our cast members, of all the communities we work with is paramount, and it always will be. And you had mentioned about that there are certain things right now in place, like face coverings for one, and physical distancing and all of that. And until further notice, that isn't going to change for the moment. And so It is important that we all get to enjoy the magic together and everybody plays their part. As you were saying, there were signage, maybe using the Incredibles IP, for example, to kind of make it whimsical, but something that a 6-year-old and a 60-year-old both understand that if we all play our part, then everyone can enjoy. Amber, you mentioned about seeing some of the children that were walking in joy and happiness to be outside and at their favorite place. We all have to do our part. So to your point is, if it's not the right time for your clients, it's okay. Walt Disney World Resort will be there. And when things change down the road, then that might be the better time for them to visit. We mentioned a lot about the Know Before You Go website, and it does contain all the important information. For those on the call that haven't had a chance to visit Walt Disney World Resort, you really want to stay up to date on what's the latest with what's happening at the resorts, what amenities are available. I'm going to go ahead and type that into the chat box. But that reference site is going to be important. It talks about park reservation system. That's brand new. You never had to make a reservation to our parks before. You bought a theme park ticket as part of either separate or part of a package. But now you buy that through, or your clients purchase that through you, they still have to make park reservations. So that's another component. I'm sure our colleagues here on the line can talk about being sure to check those calendars before moving forward and making reservations. But I think a lot of things you were saying that, large group gathering events are on hold right now. Disney dining plans are on hold right now. Fast passes are on hold right now until further notice. And all of these decisions are very difficult ones to make, but it's all focused again on health and safety, on making sure that clients maintain those proper physical distancing. But to your point, there's always an alternative. I've heard from a lot of advisors who have actually traveled to Walt Disney World and shared with me, my goodness, this is the first time ever that after leaving the park, because we close earlier now, that leaving the park, I'm actually have more time with my family to enjoy the resort, whereas they would be park goers going all the way through the end of the evening. And so I've heard a lot of great testimony of, the flip side of things, not having certain like large parades and fireworks at night, but alternative entertainment and that guests are enjoying while they're at the Walt Disney World Resort.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up a good point. So I'm always going to shoot straight, right? I'm never going to BS anybody for anything, especially in business. That having been said, sometimes you talk about a certain set of features more than you talk about another. Okay. To me, talking to clients about what they can do is very important. Okay. Yeah, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. I can't do. Okay, that's great. Here's what you can do. They make sure that they know the limitations so their expectations are right, and then give them additional stuff to look forward to. There's always some additional details, and this is well founded in psychology, by the way. It's called the white bear effect. Everybody, don't think of a white bear. Don't think of a white bear. Don't think of a white bear. What'd you think of? A white bear. Okay. So don't think of COVID. Don't think of COVID. Don't think of COVID. What do you think of? COVID. So a lot of times focusing in on the stuff that they want is going to help them out after you've set the expectations, after you've got the information to them so they can make a good decision. So that's one of the funnest things. Amber, I got to tell you, one of the funnest things having you around was you would glance, God, we were over there where I got that painting at, and you were like, oh, over here there's this, and over there's that. And I'm looking at the map, and there's no relationship between what she's telling me and what's on the map. And off we go, and sure enough, there's what she was telling me about. So I found stuff that I hadn't expected to find, and we had a blast. So it's just shifting that perspective just a little bit. And then somebody asked, hey, Amber, not Amber, Eva, is there a place? Somebody's saying that there used to be a single page where you could see the status of all the properties and refurbishments and so on and so forth. And apparently that's been moved or it's gone or something.
So we moved our refurbishment tab. Thank you for asking that question. It's really on the Know Before You Go website, and I placed that link here in our chat so that you all can see it. What you need to do is drill down to the resorts. and see specifically what refurbishments are taking place. We also, if all of you are registered on DisneyTravelAgents.com, and I hope that you all are, you'll likely receive our emails. And typically when we talk about refurbishments, we'll usually summarize some of those in our Disney travel news. So when you go on the site, just drill down the resorts, then find your resorts, and you'll see which restaurants are open. If there is any pool closure, for example, or a slide being worked on, we would consider a pool closure, a slide, those are considered larger refurbishments, but also theme parks as well. There could be an attraction that is under refurbishment or maintenance, for example, and you can find that all on the Know Before You Go website.
Cool. And then Ray, you tossed something out that was pretty cool. So, and I'm actually working with Christy on this for the disability thing or special needs thing. But Maria is saying she includes a link to the Know Before You Go and other important pieces of information for the client. I think that's an awesome idea, guys. The more often you can get ahead of your client, the more credibility you're going to have as you start making recommendations. I always draw this analogy because I waited tables for a long, long time. If the waiter comes by and tells you your food's running behind, it'll be just another minute, that's one thing. If you have to ask where your food is, that's another. You see what I'm saying? So as we get in there, being upfront with people and getting that information out to them ahead of time so they don't have to ask, puts you in a position of greater control in the conversation.
If I could just add to that, Chad, that's so important. The Know Before You Go website, it's constantly evolving. So as services come back online or resorts reopen, right now we have 20 resorts open at the Walt Disney World Resort, owned and operated by Disney. We have 3 more scheduled to open by summer. If attractions come online, or let's say character dining experience comes back online, it's going to populate to the site. So whenever we highly recommend sharing it with your clients because it sets those expectations. They know what the health and safety protocols are. They know what's required. It's a good one to go through with your clients, but also not to copy and paste the content from the site, but rather just share the link and where to find it because it's constantly being updated. And so you want to make sure that you give your clients the most up-to-date information on that site.
Yeah, and a thought occurs to me because I'm always about branding. I hear Disney does a little bit of branding too. A thought occurs to me for some of you Disney files, create a page on your website. You don't even have to link to it. You don't have to put it on your navigation. So that way, you'd have to have the direct link to get to it. And maybe create a stuff you should know for Disney page with a few of these links on it. And then you could just forward that link to somebody and it's all right there for you. You could also create an automation in CRM. I know there's a number of very customized automations in CRM for Disney. You could build that in as part of your automation. So once you start inputting that booking, it's going to start triggering these emails. One of them would be an email going, hey, there's some important stuff you should know. Here's a link. It takes them back to your website, then on over to Disney's site. Why the extra step? Branding. You want to associate your brand with the vendor that you're representing. So that might be an advantage to you. It's also convenient to have it there. So you could use CRM, you can use your website, you can use the client portal. But the idea is that, and I'm thinking out loud, I do that a lot, is that over time, you kind of develop a repertoire or a library of important client-facing information documents that you could access readily and distribute easily. And again, that just ups your credibility and your apparent professionalism.
To speak to that, Disney offers their microsite that you can use, and we've taught you how to embed that using an iframe. You can do the same with the Know Before You Go page, where you have this one-stop Disney shop, and both are available to you. You just need to, for those of you who have not done iframes before, it has to have a set height and a set width, and there are instructions on that in the MagWeb training. But like Chad said, you can have a private link that just gets attached. It's branded to your website, but you're using Disney's materials to your advantage. And I did see an agent post about using all of their marketing materials. Disney's marketing center is so robust. You don't need to have access to Disney copyright to get some really great stuff. They've done the work for you. Disney hires really good people. So trust when the stuff they create is going to resonate with those clients who are going. So use it. Use their email builder or brochure builder or their microsites. Use all of those things to your advantage. Yeah.
Okay. Quick thing. So I'm a suspicious type.
Mhm.
And I have been for my entire life. I went through and tested the hell out of Disney's microsites, e-brochures, and all that kind of stuff to see what they were harvesting and what they aren't. They're not harvesting anything. Okay, so out of all the vendors I work with, I trust 3 of them explicitly as far as client data goes, and Disney's one of those 3, and is actually the top of the list. So for those of you who are afraid to give out that kind of information to clients, I know that was a big thing a few years ago. I don't want to give the vendors my client information. Look, first of all, they have the information already. Okay, number 1, but number 2, they're not actively harvesting it, so take advantage of that. Then as far as iframes go, I'm going to give you Chad's free tip of the day. Google iframe generator. All you need to do, go to the first one you see, type in the URL that they're going to land on, so the Disney link or whatever like that, and it'll give you a little snippet of code. You can begin with the word iframe. Grab that code, including the little arrow thing, okay? Copy it, hop over on your website, pick the HTML module. You'll know this when you see it. It's right there. It's clear as day. Third from the top on the left-hand side of the column. Pull it on over, paste that iframe stuff. Don't do a darn thing to it, and it'll go live and be perfect. The only thing you may want to adjust, you'll see something in there that says width equal to and a number. Make the number bigger to make it wider and smaller to make it smaller. You don't need to know what the number means. So it's really easy. The downside to iframes, they don't adapt readily to a mobile environment, but it really depends on what your business goals and who your target demographic is. But that's a great idea to embed things. At the end of the day, it's about getting them the information and making sure that they know you brought it to them. So it's
Chad, if
really
I could
important.
just jump in on that, the site builder is a great, thank you for providing that as an option for your members. We actually have a guide on Site Builder that gives you the dimensions for just that, so it is mobile compatible, the site. We have that guide on DisneyTravelAgents.com under the Site Builder. So we do have it, because let's face it, probably 90%, if not more, of your clients, they're looking at your contact information, your website right here, versus maybe on a weekend we get a chance to sit down and get on our desktop and look at it that way. But the mobile compatibility is going to be really important. And to your point, this is not a booking engine. It is solely content. It's all copyright approved. And what's great about it is that we maintain all of the content. We not only included the Know Before You Go website on a Disney content site, but new offers, all the information on all the resorts. I mean, it's such a great sales tool that you can use when you're having one-on-one consultation with your clients. And I know recognizing a lot of names here on our call today that actually utilize this great tool. So I'm happy to assist as well if anyone has questions, and happy to walk anyone through it as well.
Very cool. So guys, I promised we'd keep this down to 40 minutes a day. I'm at 37 and a half minutes. Amber, I want you to write down the date and time today that I finished speaking on time. So this is critically important. This is a landmark in my
You
career.
need a plaque.
But I do have a minute and a half. So let me just summarize real quick. Set expectations. Set expectations. Set expectations. How do you set expectations? By understanding your client's wants and needs. Ask those questions. Okay. Those questions are going to give you information, and they're going to give your client confidence. They're going to give your client confidence. Okay. How'd you like to walk into a doctor's office and he just started talking to you? Never asked you a question. Okay. You want to know that your clients want to know that your eyes are on them. Okay. And finally, I'm going to wrap it up with I'd pay extra to go down there right now. I think that says a lot for a few reasons. 1, I'm super cheap. 2, I felt super comfortable. 3, I'm going to throw it out there. I just found out I'm diabetic about a year ago, pretty severely so, come to find out. I felt great the entire time I was down there. Every time I said, hey, I'm diabetic, and they went to go reach for the orange juice. No. Here's what I need. And man, they went and got it. That was kind of cool, because I like bread will flip me out and stuff like that. They were really cool about it. So care, comfort, concern, all that met expectations there. I think at the end of the day, if you qualify your clients, they're going to have an exceptionally good time right now. But full legal disclaimer, they did pay for our trip while we were down there. I think I have to say that. Other legal disclaimer, nobody was hurt during the filming of this tape. Third, I would have went down there if I had to pay for it myself. Eva, you did not hear that. But at the end of the day, it was a remarkable experience. I'm very grateful for it. I hope you guys go out there and share that with your clients. All right. Have a great day. Can't wait to talk to you guys again.